What if the next serious threat to American air superiority is not coming from Russia, but from the deck of a Chinese aircraft carrier? For decades, U.S. dominance at sea has relied on one unstoppable combination: aircraft carriers and fifth-generation stealth fighters. But now, China is preparing a fighter designed specifically to challenge that advantage, one that looks familiar, flies quietly, and may soon operate far from China's shores. This aircraft is the J-35, and its emergence raises a critical question. Is China simply copying Western technology, or is it preparing to rewrite the rules of naval air warfare? Before we continue, if you're interested in in-depth military aviation analysis and real strategic insight, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because what you're about to see goes far beyond headlines. To understand the J-35, we must first understand China's strategic reality. China is not preparing for a global war, it is preparing for a regional one, focused on Taiwan, the South China Sea, and the Western Pacific. In this region, American power does not arrive by land. It arrives by sea, carried on massive aircraft carriers supported by stealth fighters like the F-35C. China already fields the J-20, a powerful fifth-generation aircraft designed for long-range air superiority. But the J-20 has a limitation that cannot be ignored. It was never designed to operate from aircraft carriers. So the question becomes, how do you challenge American carrier groups without a carrier-based stealth fighter of your own? The answer is the J-35. The J-35 did not begin as a triumph. In fact, it began as a disappointment. In the early 2010s, China revealed the FC-31 Gyrfalcon, a stealth fighter prototype developed by Shenyang Aircraft Corporation. Unlike the state-backed J-20, the FC-31 was largely a private initiative aimed at export markets. But foreign buyers showed little interest, and the Chinese military remained cautious. For years, the project seemed irrelevant, overshadowed, underfunded, and nearly forgotten. So why would China revive a project the world had already written off? The answer lies at sea. As China began building more advanced aircraft carriers, culminating in the launch of the Fujian, it became clear that naval aviation required a new kind of aircraft, one smaller than the J-20, one stealthy enough to survive modern air defenses, and one capable of operating from carrier decks. The FC-31 was reborn, refined, militarized, and reintroduced as the J-35. At first glance, the J-35 looks strikingly familiar. Its angular design, internal weapon bays, and diverterless air intakes strongly resemble the F-35. This resemblance is not accidental. China has carefully studied Western stealth philosophy, focusing on radar cross-section reduction from key angles. But stealth is more than geometry. It depends on advanced materials, manufacturing precision, and long-term maintenance discipline. And this is where skepticism begins. Western analysts believe the J-35 likely achieves respectable frontal stealth. However, questions remain about side and rear radar exposure, coating durability, and performance after extended carrier operations. So the real question is not whether the J-35 is stealthy, but how stealthy it remains in sustained combat. And that distinction could decide survival in a real conflict. Every advanced fighter lives or dies by its engine. For decades, this has been China's most persistent weakness. The J-35 is expected to use either the WS-13 or the newer WS-19 engine, both domestically developed. On paper, these engines represent progress. In practice, they still lag behind the American Pratt and Whitney F-135 used by the F-35. Why does this matter? Because engine reliability determines range, thrust, payload, maintenance cycles, and mission readiness. A stealth fighter grounded by engine failures is not a threat. It's a liability. So here's the critical question. What happens to a fifth-generation fighter when its engine cannot be trusted under combat conditions? Until China fully solves this problem, the J-35's true operational ceiling remains uncertain. Where China has advanced rapidly is in electronics. The J-35 is believed to feature an AESA radar, modern electro-optical systems, and secure data links designed for network-centric warfare. Chinese doctrine increasingly emphasizes information dominance. Detect first, decide first, strike first. Sensor fusion is the heart of modern air combat, and the F-35 excels here. China is clearly attempting to replicate this capability. But hardware is only half the equation. Software maturity, the ability to process data reliably in chaotic combat environments, takes decades to perfect. And this raises another important question. Has China closed the software gap? Or is this where imitation reaches its limit? The J-35 is not designed to fly defensively. It is built to fight. Internally, it can carry advanced air-to-air missiles such as the PL-15, a long-range weapon that has attracted serious attention from NATO planners. Combined with stealth and off-board targeting, the PL-15 gives the J-35 a potentially dangerous first-shot advantage. Externally, the aircraft can carry additional weapons when stealth is less critical, allowing it to perform strike and fleet defense missions. In theory, the J-35 is not just a fighter. It is a multi-role platform designed for modern, data-driven warfare. But theory only matters if it survives reality. This is where the J-35 becomes strategically unsettling. China's new carriers, especially the Fujian, feature catapult systems similar to those used by the U.S. Navy. This allows aircraft to launch with heavier fuel loads and weapons, extending operational reach. A carrier-based stealth fighter fundamentally changes naval warfare. It allows China to contest airspace far from its coastline, threaten U.S. carrier groups, and project power in the Western Pacific in ways that were previously impossible. So ask yourself this: if both sides field stealth fighters at sea, who really controls the sky? Comparisons between the J-35 and F-35 are inevitable. The F-35 benefits from decades of testing, multinational operational experience, and proven logistics systems. The J-35, by contrast, remains largely untested in real combat. But China does not need the J-35 to be superior. It only needs it to be good enough and deployed in sufficient numbers to complicate American planning. And in warfare, uncertainty itself is a weapon. U.S. defense assessments increasingly mention the J-35 as a system to watch closely. Some analysts dismiss it as an imitation aircraft with unresolved flaws. Others warn that underestimating Chinese aerospace progress would be a serious mistake. History suggests one thing clearly: ignoring emerging threats has never ended well. The J-35 is more than a fighter jet. It is a statement, a declaration that China intends to challenge American naval air power directly. Not someday, but soon. Whether the J-35 ultimately matches the F-35 is almost beside the point. Its existence alone signals a future where air superiority over the Pacific is no longer guaranteed. So the final question remains: are we witnessing the beginning of a new era in naval air warfare? If you found this analysis valuable, make sure to subscribe to the channel, share your thoughts in the comments, and join the discussion, because the future of air combat is unfolding right now.